All right, welcome back into Mom's 2010 Sports Machine at 102.7 WMOM. We talked some Michigan State football earlier. Of course, Michigan has a huge game this afternoon, 3:30, as they go to South Bend to take on Notre Dame. And right now, we're going to be joined on the line by a special guest. He is a writer for Michigan. He writes the blog mgoblog.com. Brian Cook joining us right now on Mom's 2010 Sports Machine. Brian, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing terrific. And Brian, first of all, I want to say a huge fan of the website, definitely something I check every single day. And for Michigan fans, it should be something you bookmark, mgoblog.com. And before we get into today's game, Brian, I want to talk about last week. Of course, the talk has been Denard Robinson. What he did Saturday looked special. But Brian, last year after the Notre Dame game, I thought the same thing about Tate. We have a couple days now to let that Heisman chatter calm down. Do you chalk up Denard's performance to a great game, a big step in the right direction, or did you see anything to make you think he has really turned a corner to become an elite player week in and week out?
It's a little bit early to tell that right now, but I think he's made a major forward. I mean, last year he was very inaccurate just in terms of like throwing the ball where he wants to throw it, and he didn't have one inaccurate pass. If you can do that week in, week out, and you can run like he does.
Talking to Brian Cook, he's a writer for mgoblog.com. Tate Forcier obviously visibly kind of shooken up by being third string on the bench on Saturday, had the towels over his head, made some remarks to reporters after the game like he might be transferring. Now, you talked to his dad who said that he's not transferring. There's kind of been talk back and forth. In your opinion, do you think Tate Forcier finishes out this season as a Michigan Wolverine?
I think so. The thing about Forcier's situation right now is that if he wants to transfer, he can transfer after next season, and that will be a redshirt year. But if he transfers right now, he'll have to sit out the rest of the season anyway. So his dad said that his lack of playing time against UCONN was disciplinary. So it might not last 2 games. So
all the talk has been focused on Denard and that Tate situation, rightfully so. But that Michigan defense, they gave up some yards, but it was a pretty good UConn offense. They held them to just 10 points, and they held them scoreless for 3 of the 4 quarters. What did you see last Saturday on the defensive side of the ball, and did anything surprise you?
I was pleasantly surprised by how well Jonas Muton played. He was pretty unsteady a year ago, but they used him as a defensive end sometimes. He was pretty good. I'm not quite as enthused about the play of the defensive ends or but I think they didn't give up any big plays, really, except for the one bobbling catch. We can't really blame Cam Gordon for it. The ball pops up, and you think you're going to intercept it. If they can pull down some big plays against Notre Dame, I think they'll be in good shape. Kind of easier said than done.
Talking about that secondary, J.T. Turner's gone. Vladimirian left this week. Tony Woolfolk seems to be missing this season due to injury. What's going to happen when Michigan faces a quarterback who's a little better at throwing the ball downfield? Do you think they're really going to see a lot of problems?
If they can't get to the quarterback, yes. It's going to be pending on Rowe, and Martin, Van Bergen get to Chris. He did not handle pressure very well against Purdue. But if he gets time, I don't see J.D. Floyd or anyone controlling Mike Floyd.
Talking to Brian Cook, he's a writer for mgoblog.com. Michigan fans, please bookmark it. Trust me, it's the greatest. Recaps of the games, and it keeps you updated on all the recruiting and stuff like that. Brian, with the endless supply it appears Michigan is using at wideout and particularly running back, it seems this season the production's really going to be spread out. But do you see any individuals running the ball or at receiver that may rise above the pack and become a true number one threat?
I was thinking that you might see Darryl Stoneham be that sort of deep threat. He did catch 5 balls in the first game, and if people start bringing up that safety, bringing the guy in the box, and putting him one-on-one with somebody, he has speed to get open. And now that he's got contacts, maybe he'll actually catch the ball when somebody throws it to him there. So I think he's your best bet in terms of receiving.
Again, we're talking to Brian Cook, the writer for mgoblog.com. He is headed to South Bend tomorrow for the Wolverines. And, quickly, Brian, of course, you can go to mgoblog.com to get really a full analysis of the game. Could you kind of recap what you think we're going to see against Notre Dame, to what some of the key factors are going to be, and finally give us a prediction on the game?
I think the key matchup on both sides of the ball is going to be the center versus the nose tackle. If either one of those guys can demand double teams and get into the backfield, running game for that team is going to be significantly depressed. And then you're going to be able to get those quarterback situations where you can press it up and play linemen, Braxton Cave and Mike Martin. And on the other side of the ball, Molk versus Ian Williams was beaten up by Molk the last couple of years. So if he can move him by himself, I don't think you're going to have to see Michigan do much of him in the air.
All right, once again, that is Brian Cook, mgoblog.com. Give us a prediction for tomorrow, Brian.
I have no confidence in this prediction, but said 31-27 on the blog, and I'll stick by that.
31-27. Well, it's a big game for Michigan. If they win this one, they got 3 games. Will be heavily favored, at least. You don't want to call them easy wins or anything like that. I don't think we've seen easy wins the past 3 seasons in Ann Arbor. But Brian Cook, writer for mgoblog.com. Go check it out. You can check my Facebook page at K.O.B. in the afternoon, and I will link to mgoblog.com. All Michigan fans, it's a must-read. And Brian Cook, I want to thank you a lot for joining us today on Mom's 2010 Sports Machine.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, have a great time at the game today. Again, that was Brian Cook from mgoblog.com. We'll step aside for a minute. More of Mom's 2010 Sports Machine when we come back right here on 102.7 WMOM.